Deckers on Twitter, and he is going to be telling you, this is from a series of columns, correct? This is how not to talk to your kids about sex.
So, many years ago, when my daughter was about 4, Emma, we were sitting around the breakfast table, and she's telling me about her favorite show on the Disney Channel called The Koala Brothers. We're chatting a little bit about that, and then she says, 4, Daddy, I don't like sex. And I think I grabbed my chest, and my left arm went numb, and I said, what? And she got this concerned look on her face, and she said, 6. I don't like 6. I said, what, like the number 6? Yeah. What does the number 6 have to do with the Koala Brothers? Well, I don't like it. And so I asked her sister, Maddie, my oldest daughter, who's 8 at the time, and I said, what does that 6 have to do with the Koala Brothers? And she said, I don't know. I said, what's the show even about? And she said, they help people. Or they help each other. I'm thinking, really, help each other with what? Because, now my left arm is going numb again. I think, great, if there's actually a heart attack, I can pay for the medical bills with the settlement I get with Disney. And I said, what is it about 6? And she said, I don't know. And so I don't think anything about it, but at least it's not sex. And so I figure I'll just forget it. It's one of those little 4-year-old girl things that I don't need to understand. But I freak out very easily about, anytime there's like discussions about sex and things like that, I'm a prude, I'm from Indiana, so we don't talk about these things. And so this also means that my family likes to play the game, Let's Freak Out Dad. Because when they talk about these kinds of things, knowing that I don't want to talk about them. And so the next day, at dinner, my wife thinks, let's play Freak Out Daddy, and I say, oh yeah, I've got one for you. Emma, tell Mommy what you told me yesterday. And she climbs up on Tony's lap and she says, I don't like sex. And Tony gets this horrified look on her face, and I said, no, sex. And she said, really? What is that from? And I said, it's from the Koala Brothers. They help each other. and I asked Maddie, my oldest daughter, a little bit, and I said, what is she talking about? Is there somebody named 6? I'm thinking like Nikki 6 from Modern Career. Special guest appearance. And I said, is somebody named 6 on the show? She said, no. There's James and Nick and Amos and Buddy. And Emma says, yeah, Nick got sick on Monday and they helped him. I said, oh, sick. You don't like the 6. I get this now. And I was very pleased. My little baby is still my little baby. In fact, she's sitting right back there. No! Everybody say hi, Emma.
Hi, Emma.
So it's one of those rules. How many parents do we have? Parents of small children or older children? Do you know the rule about talking to your kids about sex? Anytime they have a question, you always ask a clarifying question. Like, what do you mean? Or, how much do you already know? You also, rule number 2, you only answer the question you are asked. So when your 5-year-old comes to you and says, where do babies come from? This is not the time to launch into the story about the birds and the bees and how when a man and a woman love each other very much and it's like a sneeze but only better. because all the kid really wants to know is from the hospital. Or really, Jimmy said his mom told him he's from Dayton. So if you would just say the baby comes from the mommy's tummy, you're good for at least a few months until the kid comes back and says, but how did the baby get in there? That's when you have that discussion. So that's been the other rule. And we have a third rule in our house that my wife and I came up with. When we first got married, before we had kids, we agreed that the sex talk would be that she would answer any girls' questions that we had. questions from the girls, and I would answer any questions from any boys that we had. Even if it was about the opposite sex, we would answer that question because my wife said, I don't really want to have discussions with my son about his wiener, and I said, I don't want to have any discussions with my daughters about how women work because I don't know. I will mess it up. So, same daughter, 7 years later, asks me one day, we're all sitting around the table at dinner, and says, Daddy, what's a gut sack? And I go, oh God. We're all here. I'm on the spot. She asked, I should leave this to my wife, but I like to hear myself talk. So I will tell you. I will tell all of you. We will have this discussion once, and we will never ever speak of it again. And so I tell all of them. You know, I've got at the time, a daughter who's 15, a daughter who's 11, and a son who is 9. So I figure this is a pertinent question for him too, and so I answer the question. I explain how boys are made, and the things that we have, and the different words that we have for the things we have. And the word that you were thinking of rhymes with gutsack, but it's actually nutsack. And she says, oh really? Because on Star Wars, the Clone Wars, General Grievous is a cyborg. Formerly human, but he still has all his organs, and he keeps them in a gut sack behind his metal shielding. My wife about peed her pants. Yeah, I about died. That numb feeling in my left arm was back again. So I violated the rule. I violated all 3 rules. But it was at that time that we were homeschooling our kids, and I thought, you know, I think the easiest thing for us would be we'll just enroll the kids in public school, and they can learn this kind of stuff at recess like I did.
9. 7. She is tough. That's okay. I like tough. I mean, it's good. That's why we're here. We're not here to just give out gold stars to everybody.